Hi guys, welcome back. Yeah, I'm crying just a little. One of you mentioned a Tumblr post about Odin welcoming a child into his hall, so I was interested, so I did some research, and I found it. And it was kind of the capstone for experience, because Odin has always told me, I am not your father. And as you guys know that have been with the channel for a long time, my father was an piece of shit. Even I've talked about it, even when he was going through cancer treatment, I was a grown-ass woman in my 30s at the time, and my mother was a grown woman in her 60s, and we both still jump and shake when he would yell because he was an extremely abusive person. But the weird thing was we loved him, so we were willing to take care of him. He had periods in his life only after the cancer treatment that he started to try to become a human being, but it was like far too late. He'd like try to hug us and we jumped back. And it wasn't us, punishing him. If you haven't gone through decades of abuse, you don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like to be broken down on a daily basis, which is why Odin's super gentle with me, because I went through my time in hell for decades, which is probably why I'm a little loopy. And, I was always ashamed because I thought, I should have been able to do something. My brother solved it by running away, and my brother got the absolute worst of it. We both got beating so bad, like you couldn't sit down and stuff, but my brother got the absolute worst of it. And the only thing that saved me was my mother would put me in between herself and my father. I don't know if he ever hit her. If he would have, he would have done behind closed doors, and my mother wouldn't have said anything about it. We gave my mother a huge drinking problem. Him and his shitty family, which I got rid of them as well. So it was kind of very cleansing and cathartic to have somebody mention that. I knew that was Odin's perfect timing because that really instructs how you think about men. At the same time, this lunatic who's abusing you is teaching you to fight men because he knows how men are. I'm like, no fucking shit, you're one of the worst examples. And my mother only stayed with him because she said before he went in the military, he was an extremely gentle, kind person. I think the military royally fucked him up. I don't know if they tested drugs on him or what the hell they did to him, but he was crazy. He would flip tables, he would throw stuff, he would, just destroy stuff. He would fly into such a rage that he would destroy things and everybody would run. His brother was just as bad. His brother abused his kids far worse than we got abused. I mean, it's not a contest. It's never a contest, but his brother would put, like, his hand through walls and shit. So it was not a happy household to grow up in, and to have Odin be like, look, you've done your time in hell, you've gone through all this abuse, this is why you're a loner, and why you're kind of cagey around human beings. I mean, when I was in college, I felt bad for this professor, and I explained to him, and I usually wouldn't at the time. He just, he walked by and he, like, patted my shoulder because he knew I was, like, struggling in the class, and I, like, jumped a mile high. And he was frightened because he thought it was the other thing, like, oh, she's a woman and effeminate. And it's like, no, I still can't be touched by a human being by surprise. I will jump out of my fucking skin. If I know you, it's safe. But if somebody just walked behind me and touched me, I don't know. I might still jump out of my skin. I might be okay. It's a surprise on a daily basis. So it was one of those things. I'm really glad the person mentioned the pin, because when, in the pin, Odin slams his cup down, of course it jumps, because that's his sign not so happy fun times are coming. And it was just really, really hard. My dad didn't have to drink to be an abusive asshole. He did all that shit totally sober. And it helped unlock that final thing for me, that I realized he's going to be gentle, that the real Odin isn't hiding somewhere waiting to get me. Because when my father would go into a period where he'd be really nice, and we'd think whatever was wrong with him was gone, then what was wrong with him would come back and it would be 10 times worse. So he is working on my trust issues. He is. And the funny thing is, I've always gotten along with men better because anything that was female in me got killed at very young age. I just normally didn't like dolls and that. I liked, you know, toy cars and trucks and stuff better, but it wasn't safe being a female and being weak around my father. You had to be very aggressive and very loud. I was raised like a boy, basically. It was one of those weird things where it was recognized that I was female, but I better act like a boy. I better be tough. I better be willing to get into fights. I better be willing to stand my ground. So it wasn't, you know, it was weird. There was both bad and good. Usually abusive people will be the first ones to teach you to fight everyone else. It's like they don't see what they're doing to you is wrong, or if they do, they kind of think they make up for it in all the good things they do. Like usually in the abuse cycle, you get abused pretty bad, and then out of nowhere something nice comes up, like a vacation or presents or candy or whatever. And you think, when you're very young, you think, oh, they really love me. And you don't realize it's they feel guilty because they know what they're doing is wrong. My father was too proud to accept help, so he never went to therapy. But yeah, that's why I don't work with him. Most of the men in my family, come to think of it, were pretty shitty. My uncles are okay. So far as I know, I don't know them well enough, but my uncles on my mom's side are normal. It's the motherfuckers on my dad's side. They're really bad, abusive pieces of shit. It's also why I learned to shoot a gun and use weapons in self-defense. So, it was really nice that somebody mentioned that pin, and that, Odin has been, so kind and loving, because is kind of helping me heal. And you always have a huge amount of shame, when you're an abuse victim, especially when you're a grown-ass adult. And I just financially could not escape the situation I was in. A lot of times people were like, why do you stay? Why didn't you get out? Well, because I had fuck all to go to. That's why I had nowhere safe to go to. I didn't want to live, in a halfway house, so it was surreal, and I didn't want to leave my mom alone with my dad. I couldn't do that to her. I was afraid when I went away to college that he would really lose it and really do something bad, but that is what it is. So I know that's not the happiest story to share with you, but it was actually a really healing experience, and it's been really good and healing to work with Odin. And to realize he's never going to lose it, and he's never going to hit me, and I'm never going to have to do things like hide in closets. Like, to this day, I can't play a game with a closet in it, or find other creative places to hide. It's weird to have a guy that's strong that you can trust. I mean, it's not the first time. I've never had a guy hit me or abuse me or anything, but it's weird given Odin's reputation for being abusive and cruel, let me put it that way. He's never been that way with me. Maybe some people thrive on that, but I don't, because I went through that for decades. So, if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.